Great to have you on the podcast. How are you today?
Thank you, Jared. I'm really good. I'm in San Francisco right now. Beautiful day out. So excited to chat.
Love it. Let's dive right in then. First off, let's start things out where people are just getting to know you. Many people on the podcast for the first time. Tell them a little bit about your background and then give us an overview of People.ai.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My name is Oleg Rogynskyy. I'm the CEO and founder of People.ai, originally from Ukraine. Couple fun facts. I was a salesperson, with the first salesperson at the first deep learning AI company ever. We're talking 2004, 2005. It was called Einstein Technologies. Nothing to do with Salesforce. But we were doing deep learning for publishing back before it was anything, and it was called AI. Other couple things. I moved to the Valley about 10 years ago. Worked for now four AI companies, started two of them. So I know a couple things about building language models before they were called language models.
Before it was cool to build an AI company, essentially.
Well, without promoting another podcast, there is a podcast episode from Andreessen Horowitz from 2018 that basically has us talking on record about language models and AI agents, not using those words, and how it's going to work and why we are building People AI the way we are building. Uh, because one day there will be AI capabilities that will work this exact way.
So let's talk a little bit about that actually to kickstart this conversation, and then we'll get into People.ai. But so your earlier thoughts back then,
Mhm.
I'm sure there are parts you were right on. Was there any areas you were also maybe slightly off on, or have things even grown at a pace faster than you could have imagined at that time?
What I was wrong about was the value I placed on what I called self-morphing user interface. What I was saying is there will be AI systems that will take in all this information about what you do as an employee. And through that, and comparing how other employees are doing, so cross-tenant or cross-user learning, will be able to replicate your workflow and act as you, what we call agents right now, at completing specific roles. But what I was saying, and playing probably more emphasis than I should have, is that there will be user interfaces that will be dynamic and changing in real time to fit the human operator's needs for that specific step, approval, whatever it is, to let AI system keep on going. Um, what I should have been saying, looking at it from current vantage point, is that user interfaces don't really matter as much anymore. That we leapfrogged the need for user interface straight into AI autonomy and kind of chat interface as a kind of the universal user interface. I didn't see that one coming.
Makes sense. And talk me through. Let's go back to People.ai for a second now. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. A lot of people aren't willing to say where they were wrong with anything, but in this case, it was more predictions than anything. So I didn't mind asking you that.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to People.ai, give us really like what I like to focus on is the why, how, what. So give us the why, how,
Mhm,
what of the company, kind of how things came together, and where
mhm.
things stand today.
Yeah. So I'll start with the why. So as I started this call today, I was a salesperson, one of the first, actually the first AI companies out there. But as a salesperson, you got to do what you got to do. So you're told, hey, here is a CRM system. Here is your Nortel phone. Press buttons, dial numbers, and make calls, and then enter everything in the CRM. That was 2005, 2006. I did that, hated it, was very successful regardless. Then that company went public. Then it got sold private to OpenText. I quit and started my own company doing deep learning in this new thing in 2011 called the cloud. We're the first ones doing that and changing business model from selling boxes to selling API calls. And so I was like, wow, this is going to be great. I'm going to hire a sales team. We're going to be selling cheaper things, faster, better, etc. And I'm going to have all the data because we've solved the visibility into sales activity and sales productivity by now. We must have solved it, right? It's been 5 years. Hired the sales team 2011, got the CRM system. Nope, same thing. Have to enter anything manually, have to do all that stuff. Couldn't train AI on it. You get the point. Um, so then I sold that company in 2014. Now I'm moving out to Silicon Valley. I'm like, those guys must have figured it out. It's been a decade since I was a sales guy. Um, Moved to the Valley, all kind of bushy tail and starry eyes, kind of like, this is going to be great. I start People.ai or about to start People.ai, and still the same problem persists a decade later. And so the why to your question is there was a problem. The problem was the whole sales industry was reliant on manually collecting data about how you build relationships with your customers, literally manually filling out forms in Salesforce CRM, one after another all day long. And so if the salesperson is expected to do 50 activities a day and meet 20 people a day, he had to fill out contact form for 20 people and then an activity form for 50 activities on top of you actually doing the job. And so that's when it was clear that the why is this data is valuable. Customer health, customer relationships depend on how well you understand this data. Humans suck at collecting the data. There will be AI one day that will need this data to act like humans to get the job done and help us build healthier customer relationships at larger scale. The problem is obvious. That's the why. The how part, then we start seeing, hey, if this data is valuable, why are we still doing it manually? And we uncovered a whole bunch of problems that actually, contrary to popular belief, start at enterprise and in complexity. So, like the more enterprise you are, the more complex the problem is, the less chances are to automating that, and then go in SMB. It's super simple. That's why there is a lot more sales tech for SMB, and very little sales tech that actually works for real enterprise. And so the how part was to use AI back in 2016, 17. Our first language model stuff like thing was built in 2017 for the AI nerds on this call. It was using an open source approach called Spacey, which I'm sure some people will be like, oh, wow, that's old. But that's what OpenAI got started out of. And we were basically, it's one of the first early transformer-like technologies. Fun fact, People.ai was started in the same YC batch as OpenAI and Scale AI. It was like a good
Oh,
crop
wow.
of summer 2016 companies that saw AI early. And so the how part was to apply Spacey and a few other technologies that I've learned over the decade before that to solve the hey, here's all the emails, meetings, transcripts, actions the seller's taking with the customer. What do they mean? Why are they taking place? And so the what, in the end, we got out the system that until 2022, he was using more of a statistical approach to deep learning. And then after 22, we added LLMs on top because they became plentiful and easy to use of a system that understands all of the activities that happen between you and your customer and then uses that information to accelerate four major what we call sales rituals. By accelerate, I mean augment humans who are doing those, and wherever it's not value add, fully automate those processes. And so those four rituals are what we call forensics. So understanding what the heck is going on with your customers. Like, where are we now? Are we doing the right things? Are we talking to the right people? What are the things that will kill this relationship? And second one is account management, which is what is our strategy to get the customer to a good state, to make them happy, and for us selfishly to identify where else can we be doing business for the customer. Third one is opportunity management, which is now that we found where we can do more business with the customer, are we tracking that business correctly? And last one is forecasting, where now that we understand all of our customers' current state, we have a strategy to improve every customer relationship, and we are tracking these deals the right way. Can we call the number? What is our revenue going to be at the end of the rainbow?
I love it. Can you give me a real life example of some of these activities and like really basically what you described at a high level.
Mhm.
This could be, you could make it up, it could be fictional, it could be a real company, but would love to hear more of kind of like walk me through a real life scenario.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll give you our own example.
Okay.
Right after this podcast, I'm going to speak at our sales kickoff, which is happening in San Francisco right now. And so we are launching our year right now as a sales organization at People.ai. And we started by starting to plan with the forensics module in December, which is we basically took a look at all the key customers we had. We understood what has been done with each one of these customers using our AI for the past 12, 24, 36 months. AI literally told us, here are the key accounts. Here are the accounts where you have not spoken to the key people. Like in these opportunities, in these accounts right here, you have not reached out to CFO even once. You have not talked about our new forecasting product to the CRO here, here, and here. Here are the top performers on your team. Here's what they do in general as employees, but also with every account, with every deal. And here are the people who are not doing that. Here is the coaching plan for each one of them. And it literally generated a 2x2 for us of effort and conversion of skill, so like skill and will, basically. And so you can see right away, here are this high skill, high will people. Those are the ones you promote. Here is the high will, working really hard, but not getting the results, low skill. That's why you deploy all of your coaching and enablement budget, because those people are the ones you improve their skill, suddenly they're high skill, high will. Then here's a quadrant for low will, high skill. These are highly effective people who are not putting in the effort. That's where you apply different incentives. And then there is the low skill, low will people. I will skip those. Um, and so that's the first step. The second step is literally AI generated for us an account plan for each one of those accounts, customers, saying, you're missing a CFO over here. Here's how you know them. All I can introduce you. Here is the message to send. Here is the next 5 steps. Over here, they just had a public announcement that they're changing their strategy. This product you were selling to them before is no longer relevant. Try with this product. Here is why. Here is how. So we're talking thousands of accounts that we care about. And AI literally generated tens of thousands of pages of specific step-by-step action plans on how to get those customers highly successful. Third step is for the deals that are in flight, here's where you are, here's what steps you missed, here's why it's going to go wrong. And the last step, the forecast is, and if you do all of this, you're going to hit this number. And every day you won't be doing these steps. I'll tell you what you didn't do that you should have done and how that impacts your number going down.
I love it.
So that's what we're starting the year with.
I love your enthusiasm, by the way, too, and how excited you. So what's cool is, when you're pitching new customer, like what's the phrase? You're eating your own dog food,
Oh yeah.
right? Like, um, talk me through. Now, some companies have the luxury of doing that; others don't. Talk me
Mhm.
through why that's so important in building out, this company, and I guess it probably unlocks a lot more key learnings and data for you, right? That help make the experience much better. I always say that my favorite companies are the ones that are also their own end user.
Yeah. Well, we
um,
started with that. We
mhm.
started with that by saying, hey, we will be the one company that doesn't log anything into CRM. Because if we are, like, WTF we're doing. And so that has been the mantra from the very beginning. We have a very strong enablement program teaching our own teams how to do this. It's actually a little controversial thing. I'm not a fan of um, talking about ourselves much with customers. But that's what customers want because they're like, well, you build the system, you know how to use it better. Show us how you do it yourself. Because if you don't do it yourself, what you're selling to us, you lose all your credibility. And so, even though it is contrary to every popular sales training and belief to be talking about yourself, thought leadership on your own example and how it works. is probably the most powerful thing we do in our own business.
I love it. That's awesome. Talk me through.
Oh, and by the way, one
Mhm.
thing, and maybe want to cut this in. And so, what's interesting about that, about using our own software to show it to our customers, is we also have to own our own problems. Like, I don't demo our demo environment to our customers. I demo our live data.
Oh,
And sometimes there's an issue. Sometimes the AI says something wrong, or sometimes some integration didn't work, or sometimes the data is old. And guess what? You own it. And the sales engineer and the engineers and product managers in the call with you, they really own it because they're embarrassed for the AI not delivering. And so I found that having your engineering team and your product management team in customer conversations when things break are the fastest way to improve your product. Because then they're going to go home and they're going to make sure they don't get embarrassed again with their own product.
yeah, because when they're not involved, it becomes a he said she said type deal, right? And then everyone's like, you demoed it wrong or you did this wrong, and
Yeah.
um, I also think your customers or prospects will appreciate when you're showing them that stuff because how often do we see demos that are the perfect environment, right? Where
Yeah.
essentially it's like a video,
Yep.
right? Um, Now in the early days, that's fine when you're doing the the high like the wireframes of walking people through when you're doing that research. That's fine,
Yep.
but we see far too many established companies trying to get away with that.
And actually, that's where I'm sure you know of all these like demoware companies like Walnuts of the world, etc., where you pre-script a demo and you can only click here but not there. And the value proposition is to scale up how you demo to your customers. I think there's an issue with that. You are scaling up the canned demo of not perfect world scenario, or not real world scenarios, how you demo to your customers, which is the opposite of what you should be doing.
And they call it demo. It's not a demo at that. Like it really isn't. It's a walkthrough of the scenario I want you. The
Hmm.
perfect scenario.
Yep.
That's yeah. I'm with you. Would love to hear your thoughts. You've been in this. You're not this like AI is not new to you. Um, One of the questions I ask a lot of guests that come on here is let's talk about there's a lot of companies out there that are doing very little or nothing with AI still, which is surprising. If you had to break down for those leaders out there like a 90-day plan to start moving forward, what does that look like through your lens?
So I think it's a transition that everybody's going to have to go through regardless. And those who think they got it are not there. And they'll probably be the ones who will get there last. So what we did, we created a so I'll give you a few like CEO tactical things. Some of them I've implemented well, some of them still implementing. So safe harbor statement there. But we first created an AI Tiger team internally, which basically meets on a weekly basis and has a number of work streams of both tracking how we go to market using AI, so how we use our own AI products to go to market, but also how we're implementing AI, how we're delivering AI to our customers, etc. But that was more on a us to customer delivery. And then I realized that a lot those people kind of were galvanizing and figuring out who are the AI evangelists in every one of our teams. And so we almost like created a cross team AI council where people who are most forward thinking and who like imagining what it is like to redo the every workflow in the company from AI first perspective got together. And then now what I'm doing, and this is the piece that there's a lot of friction, but I'm gonna get there internally, is I'm now advocating with my team to almost like fill out a form every time there is a headcount request. And that form says, why can't this headcount request be done with AI? Like, why do you need to hire a human? Can you do this with AI? What have you done to validate that you cannot do this with AI? And have you ran this by our AI council? Because they will tell you if you've done everything or not. And so I basically have I'm working on a workflow to force everyone on my team who needs to bring in more humans to really pressure test whether that job can be automated or not before we release the budget to go hire human.
Interesting. I like that a lot. Um, as you think, let's continue on with that. Where do you see a lot of companies will probably slip up though in trying to, either implement this a similar structure?
So where they will slip up is, um, you know, where they will slip up, they'll listen to vendors telling them AI everything. AI is going to solve everything for you, blah, blah, blah. I'll give you an example. I just came from Davos, and it was an interesting moment where I met a year ago with the CIO of a Fortune 20 company there. And just now I met with her. She'll know if she's listening. And a year ago, our conversation at Davos was AI does everything, universal tool. Give me as wide of an AI platform, People.ai, as you can, so we can fix our go to market everywhere. And so we've engaged, and long story short, wide platform sale, while very interesting, did not hit the mark. And the conversation we had now with the same person a year later, she was like, hey, no more white platform. Give me, don't even talk about AI to me. Here are my problems, 4 specific problems. By the way, very much aligned to the rituals I told you about, which is forensics, account management, opportunity management, and forecasting. And she's like, I have problems in these 4 areas. Tell me how your products, whether AI or not, solve those. Hopefully, wink, wink, they have AI and it's massive acceleration. And by the way, you cannot solve them without AI. But now people are talking, the most forward thinking people are talking about specific problems and how will you solve those problems, whether AI or not. So, to your question, companies will fail if they're buying like AI is a hammer, everything is a nail kind of things. They need to be buying specific tailored solutions to specific problems with specific quantified pain that use AI to solve those problems.
Interesting. I want to only one or two more things before we wrap up here, and I've really enjoyed our conversation here today. We'll have to do some more content together in the future. Um, when you think of I'll be seeing you soon at the Human X conference. What really excites you about that event?
So I've been obviously looking at all the attendees and stuff like that. I find that every event like that, I walk away with 3 to 5 completely orthogonal ideas that I had absolutely not thought about. And then I end up taking those to my customers, and I keep on rinsing and repeating those ideas with the customers until something new and something really interesting comes up. So I'll give you like what I've been, it's been 2 weeks since Davos. I had a conversation with CTO of one of the biggest payroll companies there. And it was probably the most insightful 45 minutes I've had for the past several months,
Hmm.
where he's like, hey, what are your thoughts on the future of my company, payroll company? And I'm like, well, if you think about it, what's the payroll of the future when agents are doing more work than humans? Are you going to be a payroll for agents? And if so, how are you going to do that? How are you going to pay machines for work they do like you pay humans? Are you going to be competing with Stripe? Our payroll companies for humans will be competing with payment processing companies for software at this point. Is that convergence going to happen? So, to your question, at HumanX, I'm excited to hear ideas like that.
That's a good point. And also for a payroll company, you're competing with other payroll companies. Fine.
Yeah,
You're competing with Stripe all of a sudden. That
very
might
different
not be
game.
great. Yeah.
Yes. And what you should be doing today, because it's not going to happen overnight,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
a payroll company, what should you be doing today to be ready to compete for the world of payroll for agents in 5 years?
Yeah. Because you have to start today. Because if it is a last minute thing, Stripe's going to eat your lunch when it comes to just because of
They
who
won't
they
even
are.
notice you existed.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I love it. Before we wrap up here, what's next for People AI?
Well, I mean, the interesting part is the future of sales is now clear, which is AI will be doing most of the work in the sales process, and humans will be doing the human thing, talking to other humans. And so, as the future is clear, we are now in the business of identifying what else can we fully automate with AI to free up the human to be doing the human to human sales. Now, you won't know if I'm an avatar or not in a couple of years right now, but that's a different story. But yeah, the future of People AI is helping customers grow their productivity and their go-to-market significantly more, as we've been doing using AI capabilities that are kind of the cutting edge.
You are real now, right?
We'll find out at HumanX.
That's okay. Yeah. See, that's how we're going to tell. There's going to be times when you go to a conference and that's the first time you're meeting the real version of the person.
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I love it. I really enjoyed our conversation here today. Look forward to meeting you in person at HumanX very soon, and wishing you and the team all the best of luck. But this is super cool what you're building.
Thank you, Jared. Looking forward to it. Awesome.